Okay, I'm gonna try this again. Painting hands can be really challenging. It's very hard, but it's also very important. Some of our greatest works, are based on hands. There were all these studies are like the early Michelangelo and Van Gogh and Dürer. I never know how you say Dürer's name. Um, they studied and studied and studied and practiced because it's very challenging. And but they're so important. Like we've joked before, if you go to the Met, you can see like a lot of times they're hiding. People are hiding the hands in the placing their people so the hands are hidden a little bit. But it's an important thing to know. And so that's what we're going to work on today. We are going to practice painting hands. There's a few ways to approach it, but we are going to specifically look at kind of traditional. Like, look at these beautiful, that's Manet. Look at these amazing, amazing paintings of hands. And this is kind of what we're going to be going for today. But I do want you to know that throughout history, there have been some terrible hands that were painted. Like, this is Van Gogh's hands. And just really terrible hands, because they're pretty hard to do. That's Frida Kahlo. I don't hate those hands, but even everyone makes fun of the hands in Olympia, like that they're so clunky. But there's lots of styles you could do too. Like Alice Neal, she elongated all of her kind of fingers, and I don't imagine all these hands really looked like that, but she didn't care because she was going more for the expressiveness of them. So that could be your goal too. Louise Bourgeois did very simplified hand paintings. You could approach it that way. We do want to know how to do like a realistic hand, but you are free to play with it. And also you can think about the symbolism involved. Magritte often used hands in his surrealist paintings. So having a hand holding something or having a hand inserting into a painting is a pretty powerful move. And even this Kahlo painting, I love this one so much. Like the potential for symbolism with a hand is kind of endless. But before we go down a route of like stylizing and finding our own, we want to be able to paint a decent realistic hand. And so we are going to do that today first. I've got printouts. We're just going to look at some line drawings of hands and do our best to make a realistic one, so we can eventually do this amazing painting. So what we're going to do is first we're going to block draw. I'll walk you through like how to sketch out the shape. But instead of thinking of it in terms of these, as we often approach things here, we draw in terms of cones and spheres and cubes. We are going to kind of block out our hands in planes of value. So I read them now. What I'm doing now in this video is, so that right now that I'm painting is the back of the hand, right? So we know that's going to be lighter because the light's hitting that. And then there's the fold of the first group of fingers, and that's the side of the hand. And then I'm starting to add the fingers there, and the thumb. And it's all based on the light, obviously, is hitting this hand from the right side. So it's going to be lighter there. And I'm kind of layering some transparent earth tones and reds. So we'll do that too, so I can get this sense of flesh. But as it is now, we kind of have a blocky I'm establishing blocky little shapes. And then I'm going to start softening them. So it's almost like these are all these like kind of cubes that I've put together. And now I'm going to go in and add highlights and some start differentiating the actual individual fingers. But first we're going to paint them as just like a mass block. So each like there'll be the arm, there'll be the hand that is one block, the back of the hand and the palm. And then we've got the first bunch of the fingers between the knuckles is one plane, and then the fingertips is one plane. And then we start, what we're doing here then is breaking it apart. It'll be easier once you get started, but I just wanted to show you how it works. And I'm in this painting, I'm using I'm using an image, a drawn image, and that's what we're gonna also do. And so the more you just go, you keep building out, adding details, adding highlights and shadow. And as you'll see, it starts emerging. This is obviously a ton easier to do when you have an 8x10 hand. This is a lot harder to do when the hand in your image is, a quarter of an inch, obviously. But I think the reason I like this approach to painting hands too is that even if it's a super small hand in terms of the scale on your painting, you can simplify it into these little basic block shapes and it'll read as a hand. Because really for hands, what's important is kind of the curve and the bend of all the fingers, getting that right. I like this too. I feel like this is a successful hand in the end because I think I do get the sense that it's pushing down on a table. The other thing to know about painting hands is you can also approach it once you have that initial shape. You can do kind of what's almost like subtractive work. Like imagine if this was a block of marble or clay and you were going in to shape the fingers better, you'd be removing some of the clay or the marble, you'd be subtracting, so it's like a subtractive sculpture. You can do that with your background in here. So if you get to the first pass of your fingers, and in this case I didn't love them at all, they didn't feel right to me. So then what I was able to do is once I had that initial shape was to treat my background color as almost a sculpting tool. And I went in, as you'll see I'm periodically doing in here, yeah, like this, going in and helping shape them even more by cutting into them with the background. So that's another great tool for doing fingers. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do today. I'll see you in a bit. Bye.